Good morning, everybody. I literally just woke up a few minutes ago. It's the latest I've slept in a long time. It's almost 8. But I was up late last night because I was busy. So this is going to be a quick video. I've been following a channel called The Bell Life. I don't know if you guys know about it. I'm gonna wait till I get a couple people on here, but that's what this is going to be about. So if you guys are rewatching that, that's what we're going to talk about. So, who's here? Someone's here. Couple people here. Hey. So, there's 2 people here. I'll go ahead and start. So what I was saying is, there's a channel that I follow and I watch pretty regular. It's called The Bell Life, and it's just a couple of country boys just goofing off doing stuff, and they came up with all kinds of videos. And they do these videos where like they shock each other with taser guns, and they beat each other with like the self-defense whips and things like that. What's up, Native Wild Man? And they do stuff like that, but they also do these. And there's a lot of channels that have done this, like the drink 6 beers in like 3 minutes kind of thing, and so they actually almost got their channel taken down because of a YouTube rule change. So that's what this is about. So YouTube changes their rules arbitrarily. They don't give creators any warning. So something you were doing yesterday that's perfectly fine to do could be a complete violation of the rules and regulations and terms of service of YouTube tomorrow. So instead of doing what is typically the case when rules and things change, which is, okay, we know that you were allowed to up to here, but from now on you can't do this. That's how it works. You know, things, case in point, laws. If something was illegal or something is illegal now but was not illegal 5 years ago, you can't go back and prosecute someone from 5 years ago because they did that. This is why I don't agree with this cancel culture and things like that. Because something that you did that was perfectly acceptable today, that now isn't 3 days from now, you can't be punitively punished retroactively. That's just the way the world works. Okay, yeah, you know what? You can't do it anymore. But we can't punish you for having done it before it was against the rules, right? That's what you would think. But YouTube arbitrarily changes their rules and terms of service and what you're allowed to do, what you're allowed to say, what you're allowed to have in videos. And they arbitrarily change it. But instead of saying, okay, and they've said this, they're like, oh, any of your videos from the past, no problem. However, the second after they say that, they go back, and I've got a lot of videos that were, hey, what's up? Oh, no. Wish I knew who you were. I got a sneaking suspicion I may. You might be Eric. I don't know. One of my paying members. But at any rate, what I was saying is, once they make that rule, they'll send you an email, and then you get a message on your dashboard, just like all YouTube creators. I have a dashboard where I put things up, and it scans through it, and it tells you whether that video is appropriate and allowed, whether you can monetize it or not. Prior to it going out, it's a check. But now what that does is it checks against today's rules. At any rate, the way it's supposed to work is if you put up a video about something, and then 6 weeks from now, YouTube goes, can't make any more videos about that. They're not supposed to go after your past videos. So YouTube, just so we can get down to what it was, YouTube passed a rule here not long ago that you're not allowed to consume alcoholic beverages in a video or you can't monetize it. So the problem is, anyway, so what the problem is that YouTube doesn't abide by that. Even though they said at one point, they said, okay, yeah, any videos that are in the past, we're not going to retroactively. They still did. I have a whole slew of videos that got demonetized and age restricted. My shaving videos where I would shave with a tomahawk and things like that. I believe that those, because they were considered dangerous content, even though I made a disclaimer, said don't try this at home, they got demonetized. So the problem with this is if you have something that's in violation, what you get is you get a strike. You get a YouTube strike that says this content goes against, you have violated the rules and guidelines of what you're allowed to do as a YouTube creator. You now have a strike. If you get 3 strikes to take your channel down, all your videos, They take them all down. I have over 1,000 videos up. The problem is YouTube will go back and videos that I've had up for years. Luckily, I haven't had any community strikes where I'm violating guidelines. I had one, but it got rejected when I went and I said, hey, I don't think this is right. I appealed it, and they were like, okay, yeah, we'll let it slide. So that strike came off my record. But if you get 3, if you get 3 strikes, your channel's done. I think that you have a certain period of time and appeals take into account. But the fact is, guys like me that have 1,000 videos up. That's why you guys watch. I'm real careful about, like, I walk that gray line, because the fact is, if the channel went down, would it break my heart? Would it break the bank? Would it end my business? No, it wouldn't. But the fact is, I enjoy having those videos up and things like that. I have over 1,000 videos up. Now, here's the thing. Any 3 videos that they community strike, that's 3 strikes. Not like, oh, we found this bunch of videos, that's a strike. No, each video could be a strike. So to the meat of this, there's a channel I watch called The Bell Life. And it's a fun channel. Like I said, it's just a bunch of goofy dudes doing a bunch of stuff, and they like do pain videos, and they had done drinking challenges and things like that. Well, YouTube gave them 2 strikes out of the blue on videos that YouTube had previously approved that have been up for years, and gave them community strikes for violating guidelines. Those videos fell within the acceptable lines of YouTube's rules at the time. And this is what I'm getting at. This is like, people are like, YouTube, what's the big deal? How hard is it to be a YouTube creator? It's a stressful fucking thing, guys. It is so stressful. Hey, what's up, Drew? It has been so stressful having a YouTube channel, because you got to walk that minefield of rules, and not knowing tomorrow's rules, if they're going to be the same as today's rules. And are my videos safe? Are they going to go up? That's why I have a 2 terabyte hard drive. Hey, Drew. That is awesome. You guys see that? That's what I want to see. I want to see stuff like that. That's awesome. That shows me the support of the channel. And if you guys I now have memberships available on Full 30 as well. I'm going to do a bunch of stuff over there. Topics I can't even touch here. I already did a couple. You know, we don't do anything political on this channel, anything like that. So that all will go on the Full 30 channel, which is 100% freedom of speech. I can say anything I want. Like, literally, if I was a racist, I could go over and spout racist propaganda probably if I wanted. I mean, I'm sure that there would be some things, but they do not censor anything anyone says really over there on Full 30. And the reason I do it is because I do want to do pew-pew and firearms content. And I just can't navigate that minefield here on YouTube. I don't want to lose this channel. So it's stressful. And so these guys, the Bell Life, it's a lot of fun to watch their channel. If you don't watch the Bell Life, go over there and support. Tell them I sent you. I sent them a message, tell them I was going to do this. I just think it's completely unfair that videos that they put up in the past are now affecting their channel. Like, literally, and they've got almost 100,000 subscribers, which still falls in the realm of a small channel. Like, we're still considered small creators, even at 100,000, you know. Like, Nick Shabazz, still a small creator when you compare it to some of the guys like Demolition Ranch that has like 15 million subscribers. You know what I mean? So, but these guys are doing their channel. They're having fun. It's just family hanging out and just filming the stuff they do, and it's a lot of fun. And their channel is in danger because of past videos that fell within the. That is bothering me. It really is bothering me. That videos that were done in the past that fell within the rules, that are now up. Those rules changed, so that stuff you put up before. Well, that's like prosecuting people from the 70s when the speed limit was like 85 miles an hour. I said, no, I'm sorry. You were driving 85. The speed limit's 50. So you're getting a ticket for all those years that you drove at 85 or 75 or whatever the speed limit was at that time, because the speed limit's now 50. So the retroactive policing is not something that should ever happen. Retroactive prosecution of someone for violation of laws, the same thing should go with these tech companies, but it doesn't. Now, don't get me wrong, YouTube has been very, very good to me lately. I have memberships. I am a beta tester for memberships, even though I might not fall within the realm of what typically was a channel that was allowed to have memberships. It used to be gaming channels, or if you had like, I think you had to have like 10,000 subscribers. But they offered me, said, hey, you're eligible to beta test memberships. That's why I have them. The applause, I'm a beta tester for the applause button, which is, if you guys don't know, the applause button is a thing that, like, you can do live chat here. You can do a, what do they call it? A super chat. And you've seen people do it on a lot of videos. I guarantee it, a lot of live feeds. Really popular. You can just see these guys making thousands of dollars per live feed. You can just see that rattle up but the applause button is like a pre-recorded video. You can go in and you can actually donate money if you really like that. It's like giving a golf clap. So there's all these little things that YouTube has done for me, but I do 100% understand how hard it is to stay within that little gray line that YouTube has set out for us creators. Oh, you can do this today, but I don't know if I would, because tomorrow it might be against the rules and then you get your channel taken down. I'm like, it's not, like I said, it's like walking around on a minefield. And with all the other crap there's just been a big round. The reason you guys haven't seen me put up a video is, one, I've been busy. And two, there was a new list of rules that YouTube has put out. And I'm trying to read them real close before I put up any more content. I'm trying to see, like, I'm watching my dashboard, and I was going to talk to Nico about it. I had something pop up and I took care of it. But Nico is, in case you guys don't know, Nico is my channel manager. And then Matt is also, my friend Tino, is an editor. So those guys have access to my channel. And there's lists of what they can do. I was going to ask Nico, because I was really busy, I was going to ask him, hey, can you go and try and take care of this and put in an appeal? And then, you know, it just took, like, he didn't get back to me, and I was like, oh, I can do it. I got time now. So when I put in an appeal, and it got immediately kicked back. They were like, oh, okay, yeah, you know what, you're right. This was not correct. I get copyright strikes on music, even music that I created. I get copyright strikes on that all the time, and then that puts the video in flux for a while, and then I have to with copyright strikes, it's not a big deal. I appeal it and I say, no, I made this music, or this music is licensed to Apple iMovie, and it's free use for creators. But there's a 30-day window where the person that made the claim, the copyright claim, can respond if they have proof that they own that music. If you're saying I have permission to use that music, or I made that music, there's a 30-day window where you don't see any of that. Income. It's held, and so they're like, okay, we'll hold it, and whoever wins this little argument gets the money. So I've had to do that a bunch of times. Well, I had something similar to that come up. Somebody tried to claim one of my videos as theirs. I wanted Nico to take care of it. I put it in. I showed him. I was like, my watermark is clearly visible in the bottom right-hand corner of the video. This is a video that I put up, and it takes time. So I had to go find out, when did I put that video up? I went and found it on my channel, and I found the original title, and I found the original source video, and I told them this video went up at this time on this date and that, and they were like, oh, okay. That was one of the only times that it didn't go into that 30-day window of them saying, oh, we got to figure it out. We got to ask the other party. And I was like, nope, this is 100%. They took my video and tried to claim it as theirs. They made a copyright claim against me as the original content creator. So these are the behind the scene things that you guys don't see about YouTube. I'm on YouTube on the dashboard, the channel dashboard, which is if you don't have a YouTube channel where you're a creator, you know what I'm talking about. But this is an area where you see everything that's going on with your channel. You see all of your strikes, you see any of your copyright content, you see all the little things that they have a side widget where it shows these are your new things, any updates, any new changes, any rule changes, any of those things show up in that area. And then they have like tutorials and things like that for YouTube creators. That's really cool. But the fact is, if you have a YouTube channel, you got to spend time in there every day. And the other thing is, like, you guys don't, it's terms of service. They're terms of service and what you're allowed to do. I mean, we shouldn't complain because we're able to produce video. I mean, I don't complain too much because they're giving me an opportunity to film videos that I want to get this information out to people, things that I want to do and out to people, like things that I see that I feel are wrong in the knife world. I can put videos out about that and things like that. And a little buyer beware, like, hey, you might like this knife, but these are the things I see with it that may not be great. So that they give me an opportunity to do that, and it doesn't cost me anything. As a matter of fact, I make money on it. But the rule changes and things like that are really, really weird. And on top of the fact, this is the big one, on top of the fact that we're responsible for our content, we're also responsible for what goes on in the comments section. That's why you always hear me. I'm like, it's not just that I don't want most of it is that I don't want my subscribers and viewers to be abused in the comments section. One. Two, I don't want to be abused in the comments section. I will take a lot more abusive comments directed towards me than I do to my subscribers. And third is, I'm responsible for the content of the comments section. So if any of you guys have ever made a comment and you're like, oh, he just never responds to comments, I want you to think about the fact that I have I think I have 1,200 videos on YouTube. Each one of those videos, even the ones from 5 years ago, still get comments. I want you to think about how many comments that generates. I can't take the time. Most of the time, I can't take the time to respond to a comment. I do try to. But guys, if I did that, I'd be working all day, every day. I get comment notifications all day on videos. So please don't be offended if I don't reach back out to you. If you've ever made a comment or a question on a channel that has 15 million subscribers, think of it the same way. I don't have time to deal with every one of those comments. I read them all. Don't think I don't at least read every one of them. I just don't have time to just take that time to punch out a response. Especially now, like today, I have $24,000 worth of materials I have to order for a construction site. I'm going to be on the phone all day. It's 8 o'clock, but here in about another 30 minutes, I'm going to get on the phone and I'm going to be there all day, ordering all this stuff. Not necessarily all day. I'm going to see how long it takes. But if you wondered why a video hasn't went up lately, I'm starting to pack. I have the new business model that I've started. I picked up that contract. I have the wife and kid. The wife and kid are now on spring break. It's really hard. It's really hard to do. So, yeah, I'm just saying, the whole point of this is I want anybody that's watching this, go over and support the Bell Life. It's a really fun channel, but I just don't think it's fair. They got 2 strikes. I think they got a third. I saw an update like 2 days ago that I think they won their appeals on those videos. But these community strikes, this is the part that gets me. YouTube has every bit the capability to say, okay, this video went up how long ago? Okay, what we'll do is we'll age restrict it. Or we'll just take it down altogether. We'll take that video all down altogether. That way it doesn't pose any further problems. Notify the individual, see if they can, if you want, we're going to give you a window. We're going to restrict it back to you. You're the only person that can see it. That gives you time, if you have the ability to rip that from, save it, so you don't lose that content if you want to duplicate it somewhere else. Like I use full30.com right now. Because while they haven't went after knife channels really for anything too much, I see it coming. And so to mitigate that, everything that goes up here also goes up on full30.com. But there is exclusive content for over there. I think I'm going to try and do a giveaway. Once I hit 100 subscribers on full30.com, I'm going to do a giveaway, and I have something set aside for that. And thank you to the YouTube paying members, because you purchased the item that is currently sitting over there for the full30.com 100 subscriber giveaway. But it's like trying to walk through a minefield to be a creator on YouTube. And it's fun and it's great because I get to do stuff like this. Like I love doing the live feeds. This is actually my favorite part because I get to directly interact with you guys. Let's see. There's only been, I like when we get a lot of comments. So if you guys want to start dropping some comments, I'll be on here for another 25 minutes or so. So, But yeah, it, this is fun. This is great. I mean, I can reach out. I've got people that watch my channel all the way in Europe and Asia and all over the world, which is cool. That's, I mean, it's a community that we built, and the comment section in videos, it's fun to. God, my knee hurts today. It's fun to watch how that plays out. You know, people talking in comment section, and people like that. The Emerson videos seem to be the ones. There's a lot of people that just, they can't stand me because I just don't like Emerson's. Like, I can't believe you don't like Emerson's. Like, you have to like Emerson's. You're not a knife guy if you don't like Emerson's. Got news for you. I don't like Emerson's. I like the idea of Emerson knives. I'd like to see the quality improve greatly. But you know, am I trying to say that an Emerson should be like this? No, but if you're going to charge like the amount that they charge for an Emerson, I'm expecting something that is comparable with other knives in that price range, and I'm not seeing it. That's my big thing. Everybody's like, well, you just don't understand Emersons. I was like, no, but I'm a knife maker and I understand knives. And I'm telling you that at that price point, I would expect a lot more. So I get to say things like that, but I mean, like I said, there's people that just hate me for it. I'm like, you know what? Everybody's entitled to an opinion. I'll let you have your opinion. I don't have to agree with it, but I'm not going to try and tell you yours is wrong unless it's completely in violation of facts. I saw one, a guy was talking about, like, I'm doing a college paper and my thesis was that vaccines, something about vaccines are unhealthy or vaccines cause all these problems, but I can't find any data. And I was like, you know, there's probably no data to back up your thesis, is because there is no data to back up your thesis. You're wrong. You're wrong. Now, there are some things that I will just out and out tell you you're wrong. If somebody says it, I'm like, no, you're wrong. Like, if somebody tries to tell me that, the big one, well, that's just 9CR. Okay. Prove your point. Chemically, they're extremely similar. 9CR does not have cobalt. This has cobalt. 9CR is not powdered. This is powdered. Therefore, they're not the same. You get different qualities when it doesn't take much of a change in a formulation to come up with a very different material. Even though, even though 20CV, M390, and 204P are super similar, and I say they're analogs of each other, I do know that there are some differences in the way that they feel after sharpening. I love 20CV with it at the right heat treat. It's great. I love the in-house heat treat that we use. That gives me, I think, the best edge on any 20CV blade I've ever had. And it's just a little tweak in the temperature. But if it's all run at the same heat treat, which a lot of these companies do, they run this at a specific heat treat to get a specific hardness. If it's done at that same HRC, pretty much across, I pick M390 every time over 20CV that has not been in-house heat treated. It's still great. Don't get me wrong. 20CV is still great, even at a commercial heat treat. But it feels different. So M390 has a little bit of an edge in my book. And it's just a small variation in the chemical structure. So things like that, like, what was that? I don't follow it. No. Okay, guys, we're not going to get into the whole HRC mafia thing that we talked about earlier. I do not follow any of those guys, the knife nerds, the super steel nerds. I don't pay any attention to that because I have realized over the last 5 years of having this channel, my thoughts on that have kind of changed. Mainly because I don't have to sharpen all my knives the way that I do when I sharpen customers' knives and they come in and are crazy. Some of these steels, like this one, what's the RWL34, the guys just, they shit on. They poo-poo all over because it's not a super steel. It's not a super steel. Some of those steels are some of my favorite steels these days. RWL34 has been for a long time one of my favorite steels. 154CM and CPM 154, the powdered version of it. They're great. And what it is I've gotten older. I'm not as active. I'm not out in the woods. I'm not in the military. I've noticed that those steels that would typically be considered the budget line of steels, those fit my needs so well. Something that's really easy, S35VN in my Sabenza, ARRPM 9 in this, and that's why I keep mentioning I love this steel because of it just strops right back up. I have not sharpened this in forever, and it gets used all the time. It does have a little dull spot at the very front, and that's because I was cutting plastic off of cans and things like that. So buck knives in 440C, things like that, I've circled back around, and I'm like, you know what? These budget steels and these budget steels and things like that are great for specific things. But what I really love are these steels that are that middle range. S35VN, ARRPM 9, what was the other one? 9's the powdered version of 154, RWL 34. Those ones that are kind of in that realm of not super steel that these other guys would poo-poo on because it doesn't have 65 Rockwell, and I can't score a bottle with it. Those are fine, mainly because those are the ones that are really receptible to a strop. Those ones, if you can strop your edge back and not have to put it on a stone. Yeah, VG10. VG10's another one that falls into that. And what was it the cold steel used? Was that VG1? Was it that they used? Wasn't that what they called it? VG1? It's in their Sanmai stuff. So these guys, the thing with those steels are, you can't just, they strop, yes, ish, but not like some of these other steels do. And so, like, that's where I'm at right now. I'm like, I really like the idea of not needing to put my knives on a stone for a long period of time. The last time I sharpened this knife, you guys watched me do it. It has been months since I sharpened this, and it is, I don't have any test paper in here, but it's, I mean, it's not like super screaming sharp, but it's definitely, it's getting hair. It's still real sharp and real toothy and cuts real well. And all I've done is stropped it since if you guys remember, I did the cutting cardboard, like how much cardboard before I need to put a stone on it. Yeah, I strop it on newspaper. This gets stropped on chromium oxide. This gets used a lot. The strop is on the kitchen counter right now. It's one of the few things that didn't get packed up. And I had to break out a few stones because Nick Shabazz had a guy that wanted something specific. And I'm like, I'll break out a couple stones for this one guy because apparently it was his dad passed away and he wants this knife done. I'm like, I can break some of the small stones out for that and get a good smear polish on a knife for a guy. But this gets stropped on chromium oxide, and then I just wrap newspaper around this for this one. This does not, RWL34 does not like to strop on newspaper. It actually it loses its edge. It loses its tooth. So like that toothy edge that I have on it here, when I use newspaper, it kind of slicks up, almost like burnishes the edge. And I don't know what the difference is, but this loves newspaper, but not chromium oxide so much. Like you get the exact same thing with this where it almost burnishes, like slicks up. I don't know what the difference is. I don't know if it's because it's ceramic mud in the newspaper and it cuts better or what, but this, really good on newspaper. 9CR18MOV is really good on newspaper as well, it makes sense because they're very similar. 9CR18MOV gets a much toothier edge because it's not powdered. You get larger carbides. You get much smaller, evenly distributed carbides in that. Elliot Williamson has one of these, and he loves it too. He actually has one of the prototypes. He has a prototype of both of the knives. That's the deal, because Elliot helps me do the render. I don't know how to do CAD. I design a knife. I do it by hand. If it comes out the way I like it, Elliot will look at it, and if I decide that I'm going to try and do it, Elliot will just take it, and he'll just render that fixed blade for me, because it's simple. It's quick and easy. It's just doing one of these. I've seen him render. He rendered this for me in like literally 30 minutes. OS 10. I haven't got to really do anything with OS 10. I was a fan of Cold Steel's OS 8. How do I clean them? Take a knife that I don't like a knockoff, and I take the edge and I just scrape off the old until I get back down to bare leather. Somebody told me one time, he's like, "Oh, use olive oil. Use olive oil on your strop, and it'll take all that old compound out." Well, the problem was then I couldn't get it loaded. It didn't load the way I like it. So as you can see, there's a pretty heavy coat on there. Not as heavy as it was. You can see where I scraped off the old. And so when this gets to a point where it just doesn't, when I decide it's time to take the old compound off is when new compound doesn't go on. When it starts like catching and I see big spots of old compound sticking to my block of new compound, then I just scrape it off because then it's too thick. It's not adhered to the leather, it's adhered to the other stropping compound. And when it starts doing that, then it's time to strip it off. But that's one of the things, strop maintenance is one of the things I'm gonna talk about in the next tutorial video, or one of the tutorial videos for the top tier paying members. Keep having guys like, when are you gonna do a sharpening tutorial? When are you gonna do a sharpening video? The whole thing is, if I'm teaching you guys to sharpen, I'm basically giving up income, so that has to be replaced somehow. So you gotta pay. I was gonna do a paid set of videos on like Skillshare or something like that. I didn't like the way Skillshare worked, and so I decided that I would do it, since I have memberships, I'd do it through the paying members. Somebody was asking something. I still do polished, but I do it a little different. My knives are all, right now, there's a chance I might be going to Blade in Atlanta. We're not sure yet. Just keep that thought in your head. But if I'm not going to a show, my knives are usually at about 1,000 grit. If I'm going to a show and I want to show people, like I have some knives that I just keep super, super mirror polished, the Reap being one, because it does really well at that, and it holds a pretty toothy edge even at 10,000 grit. But if I'm just wanting to show off some stuff, I'll take knives of varying grit to a show. This one's at 1,000 grit, but like I said, RWL 34 takes a pretty mirror polish even at 1,000 grit. So, bro, how many times we can go through this? There's a video. If you watch, I used one of his stones and sharpened Maximet at Blade West 2019. We've talked about this in several videos. How much double lettuce do you consume? We talked about it. I've used those stones. They weren't the diamond, they were the CBN, but they were the same thing, the super vitrified. So I used one of those at Blade West in Portland the last time I went. So I know, but I'm saying if they're as good, that cut really well. Like I'm saying, I've already tried that fashion of stone. When you get to that point, like CBN diamond, I'm not a fan of CBN, but that one cut really well. The diamond ones, I don't like CBN because any of the CBN stones I've ever used, they just don't have the horsepower of even like aluminum oxide. They don't seem to cut as aggressively. I don't like them. It takes me twice as long to get half as much. Matter of fact, I had a set of CBN stones that somebody sent me to test for a video and asked me if I was doing a review of them. And I was like, I can't do a review of these, and I sent them back because it just felt like they were just slippery. They didn't actually cut. So I'll try. I mean, I'm willing to try. I should reach out to Sean and see if he'll just let me borrow one to return to him and do a video about it. But the thing is, like that being one of those 400, that'd be like my ceramic stone that's out there that just doesn't wear out. That would be great. I actually have basically what's considered a super vitrified stone right now. Ceramic is basically super vitrified. Actually, yes and no. So the ceramic I use is basically vitrified. The ceramic, it's basically super vitrified aluminum oxide, which is sapphire. So I like some of the ceramic stones. The ceramic stones can be slippery. I don't like stones that don't give you any feedback. They're kind of slippery. You can get off your angle. But if you get comfortable with them, they give you an extreme extremely good edge, and they work really well. As a matter of fact, my go-to for anything in the kitchen is this ceramic rod from Edge Pro. And the nice thing about this is it's got a rubber foot on it. So if you want to use it like this, you can set it down like this, and then you can set it on the counter and then go like this on the counter and then hang it back up. But if you're a country boy like me, you can take it off and just use it like a steel, because it does have a rounded end. So you're not gonna hit it on something. The thing you got to be careful with these is this thing, if I drop this on this tile floor, it's ruined. I'd have pieces of it. And this is I think this is a 10-inch. This is a 10-inch ceramic hone rod from Edge Pro. These are great. I got my sister a small one, a little skinny one. I had a little skinny one. I'm gonna have to get another one. Yeah, that's what I was saying. If you're not comfortable freehand sharpening, don't try to use one of those Spyderco Ultrafines. You will. You'll take the edge right off of it. You'll slip up. Like, it'll let you. Like, it's slippery. It's like snot on a doorknob. You can't keep that angle real well unless you're comfortable, super comfortable freehand sharpening. Like I do it all the time. Like I use the ultrafine ceramic rod all the time. I'm trying to brag. I'm just saying, like, you guys have seen. I have over 1,000 videos on the channel. Almost every one of those knives is a knife that came in and got sharpened. 99% of those are knives that came in for customers for sharpening, and then I got permission from them to carry and use it a little bit and then give thoughts on it. So the majority of those video knives were sharpened by me, so you figure that's... Actually, I think this is a 12. Did I order a 12? No, it's 10. It's a little over 10. I think they measure it from with the cap on. Because from thumb to pinky is the... I think that's how they do it, because that is actually... I'd have to measure it. I think this is longer. I think this is like 10 and a half or 11. But, you know, hey, I think that what they're measuring is the usable length. Not sure. Big hands. Big hand problems. Coffee cups, beer cans. Dendritic cobalt for blade material. I don't like any... Okay, I have gotten to where there's a specific window that I sit in and what I like for steel. Like, I like most of the budget stuff. I like a lot of the old carbon steel stuff, but it needs coated. Because I wouldn't want a 3V or 4V knife in my pocket without a blade coating. I'm a sweaty dude. I rust things. I can make 20 CV rust. I've carried some 20 CV knives and got some spotting on them. But like I'm saying, there's like so much stuff. But when you start getting up into that crazy new stuff, I had a blade that came in that was tungsten carbide. I don't think I ever even did a video about it. It was a tungsten carbide folder, and it was 100% a tungsten carbide blade. And I sharpened it, and I realized real quick the only thing I could sharpen it on was diamond and ceramic. And but the fact was, I didn't like the edge it took. I didn't like the way it cut or any of that stuff. I didn't like any of that stuff. If you want something that's really, really rust resistant, there's a couple things you can get that are out there. 9CR 18 MOV is really rust resistant. If you want a more higher end steel, M390 204P 20CV, those are really good. There's some of the nitrogen-based steels, Z-Finite, Nitro V. Those are basically the same thing. Then you have what was the other one? There's I can't think of the other nitrogen one. Well, they had Spyderco used H1 steel for a while. I wasn't a big fan of that one. I didn't like the edge it took. Vanax, yeah, there you go, Vanax. But Van Axe is really expensive. The Van Axe Super Clean is really expensive. There's some Hitachi Blue steel out there. That's the Hitachi Blue and Hitachi Gold. Those are, I'm not going to mention that one because I don't like it. I don't like the LC 200N that much. I'm not such a big fan of it. I don't think it doesn't feel like it holds its edge as well as like Z Finite or Nitro V, which Nitro V is what Elliott used in the last couple runs of their design knives that they sell, the Fair and Forge design knives. I think that's what the Stinger was in. Mine is not. Mine's a prototype because it was in 9CR. There's a couple of his knives that he did in Nitro V. I don't think they do. I think medium is about the courses, but the Spyderco mediums are pretty aggressive. If you keep them clean, they're not too bad. It's in your booty hole. So, yeah, I mean, there's just Michael. How many times we can go through the whole Spyderco thing? Yes, way overpriced for what you get. Benchmade Spyderco, Emerson. I just don't feel like you get what you pay for. I do have a couple Spydercos. I got this one for the wife. This is actually a really nice one. This is in VG10. I've like if you were to look at it really on paper, you would say I love Spyderco because I've owned so many Spyderco Enduras at this point. And what it is, I get them, and then I carry them for a while, and then I'm disappointed in them, and I get rid of them, and then I get another one because I miss having an Endura because I do like the Endura series. Spyderco, are you talking about the knives or their stones? As far as their stones, no. I think their stones are like you get what you pay for. And people are like, but they're so expensive. And I'm like, yeah, but they last forever. Can you resurface? Who's Steve? Who are we talking to? I don't think they're not the roughest on the market. I'm just saying. I thought you were talking about do they make one that's rougher? Does Spyderco make one that's rougher than? I'm sure you could find one, and you can find things that are finer. I have a 15,000 grit Spyderco, or not Spyderco ceramic. I have a 15,000 grit ceramic somewhere in the back that I only use for straight razors. It's not even something I offer for sharpening for knife customers, but it is in there for straight razors. So I make 30,000 grit fine ceramics that are finer than the Spyderco. So I imagine you can find one that's coarser as well. I'm just saying for Spyderco. Now, if we're talking about Spyderco knives and we're talking about overpriced stuff, yes, absolutely they're overpriced. But if we're talking about, I'm gonna go sit down over here. That sun is killing me. It's right in my freaking eyes. But if we're talking about like just your standard Spyderco sharpening stones, if we're talking about their knives, yes, they're overpriced. We're talking about their sharpening stones. I believe that for what you get, that you're not paying too much. Because the fact is, they will last forever. Yes, there are diamond rods for the sharp maker. Now, I honestly wouldn't use a sharp maker. It doesn't have the horsepower I need for anything, but I definitely would use their flat stones. So, yeah. Okay, yeah, for their knives, no, absolutely not. They're way overpriced. They're ridiculously overpriced. They're poorly ground, poorly sharpened. They get by on their reputation in the past and the name. So they've become like I said, they're like the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, the trading cards of the knife world. But guys, I'm gonna have to get off of here. I just wanted to say, so like go back to the beginning of the video, catch what you missed. We were talking about the Bell Life, which is a YouTube channel that has been going through a lot of crap lately. They're dealing with some of the arbitrary changes in YouTube's rules and regulations and terms of service and things like that. And the fact is, like, I don't understand why any of this is an issue if parents, the whole thing is people are like, oh, I don't want my kids to see that. Well, then you police what your kids see, right? You don't give your kids access to YouTube, or you monitor what they watch. Like, I don't care. My daughter is around me all the time, and I am not a politically correct individual. I say what I think out loud all the time. I don't censor anything for my daughter. So, questions about stones. Same here. Like, you can DM me if you want on Instagram, and I'll try and answer questions. But the fact is, I've done videos about stones. I don't know how much more there is to say. I mean, you basically have three different. You have three different types. So you have diamond, you have ceramic, and then you have your outliers, which are like your aluminum oxide, things like that, and the silica carbide. And then those fall into branches. Like, then you have like bonded diamond, or centered diamond, or like the diamond matrix stones, like what Edge Pro has. And then you've got then you have the aluminum oxides, which are, they fall into a bunch of categories. You can get vitrified, you can get all the other ones. You can get ceramic, which are like the ceramic bound, which is like almost like what do you want to call it, the Shapton stones. And then they have like the Shapton stones. Then you have like the vitrified ceramic, which is basically vitrified is like ceramic, which is your aluminum oxide / sapphire, ultrafine, fine ceramics that Spyderco has. There's just so many things out there. So I have not gotten to try one of the crystalline stones, so I don't know. But yeah, there's three basic types of stones. Either using something like aluminum oxide or silica carbide, which is what you have out there. Silica carbide is what I use for flattening my stones. It is extremely, extremely abrasive. Problem is, usually silica carbide stones are super, super coarse. Like, those are your big, super coarse tooling stones they use for knocking burrs off of things that they've cut with water jet or with a torch. I have a couple of those. Sometimes they're like 30 grit and things like that. Yeah, natural stones, oil stones. But they kind of fall into that same kind of thing with like the ceramics. They're almost the same as ceramics. You just oil on them. They're really similar. Like, I forget about the natural stones. I do have some natural stones, like the Arkansas stones, oil stones. But you basically, you got these little groups, and then they're broke up into other things. You know what I mean? Like, people like to crap on like the Norton. Oh, those Norton stones, you can't sharpen that with that. The Naniwa super stones, you can't do that. And I'm like, why not? The way they make those is either they take the cuttings from other natural stones and bind them in like a magnesium concrete, like a type of cement that cements that powder, and it's just part of that. So you have the magnesium is really, really, really soft, and then the binder, it's the binder that holds it. And or they use the artificial ceramic, which the ones that I have, I was reading them, and what they are is they're a ceramic grit that is then incorporated in that binder. So basically, they're either like a conglomeration of like whatever's left over of the super expensive natural stones that they cut, and then they add that, and you wind up with something with about the same cutting grit as the original natural stone, with some variations. But that's the issue I was going to say, is mine bend. They're not as bad. What used to happen was I figured out what's wrong with my other stones. The Naniwa super stones used to come attached to a backing, and they would try to bend. They all bend. They always do. All of mine are bent. But the ones that were on a backing cracked. The ones that aren't, they stay, like, I can still flatten them, and they've stayed relatively true enough for a knife. But the fact is, those were for straight razors, so you have to flatten them out. But the ones that do not have a backing have lasted way better. The 10,000, the 12,000 that I have. The 5,000, 8,000 that I always got had the backings, and I loved them because you could sit them flat, and they had a bottom, and they. For straight razors, that was great. But the fact is that they all cracked because they would try to bend, and then it would. I don't know what it is. I'm not 100% sure. Somebody told me it's because I soaked them too long, and I'm like, I got news for you. You have to soak them a little bit. Even though they're supposed to be splash and go, they still absorb a good bit of moisture. But I think I just need to break down and just replace my 5,000, my 8,000, and my 10,000 it's a pricey endeavor. But like I said, we just sold the house, money's coming in, I got that contract, I have to order all that stuff, so I'm getting paid on that. I do need to get that because the fact is I have to work around areas of those stones, especially when I'm doing a straight razor, so I don't screw up those edges. So it's just I need to replace a couple stones, and they're old. They're old. Somebody tried to say it's because, oh well, you left your stones in the water. I don't think so. I don't think that that's why I had those issues, because other people have told me they had the same issues, especially the bending of the stones. They're like, oh, it's because you left them outside and it was hot and it's going on. I was like, no, I don't think that has anything to do with it. Because guess what? The temperature changes inside too, because whatever the temperature does outside, it does it in my house because we don't use the furnace or the air conditioner. Well, we don't have an air conditioner. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. They're like, oh, well, you let it get too wet and then you dry. I was like, the other one. Oh, don't use diamond. Don't use diamond. It'll dissolve into the steel. It'll dissolve into the steel. And I'm like, how? And they're like, oh, here's this article. And I was like, but that article's talking about temperature and grinding with rotary tools or with rotary grinders. So yeah, but you know, the friction with the knife on the stone. And I was like, I use water. There's like, you have to have, I was like, if you read that article, it's talking about this because heat will allow the diamond to dissolve into the steel. It will. There's a weird thing that happens, and you can actually get diamond from the cutting wheel into the steel. If you're grinding it, you add temperature to it. It comes off, and I'll agree with that. That's exactly what the paper said. But I don't use a powered cutting tool. I'm not generating any heat or any. Yeah, there's friction. There's no heat. That is the critical thing between those two things. And this guy was just arguing back and forth. And I was like, look, okay, I don't want to try and argue about this, but like, if you read that paper that you sent me, again, it's specifically talking about cutting at temperature. Yeah, I was getting ready to yell at you for a second, and I was like, what? You too? Like, you can't do it the way I do it. You cannot get it to dissolve into. And this guy was just adamant. I was like, look, I don't want to argue with you. He's like, no, here's the article. I was like, I already read the article. And it got to a point where I was like, look, don't say anything. I'm taking down this entire text string, comment string, because I'm about to say something to you that's going to be offensive, and I'm just going to take it down. And if you continue, like if you come back and try and do this again, I'm just going to block you. Because it's not fair to the other subscribers to have to deal with the fact that you don't know what you're talking about. And I just don't want to, I just don't want to have to deal with that. And so I just took down the entire thing. And then he was talking about it on somebody else's videos and made a comment. Yeah, I tried to tell Mike Emler about this. And this person was like, I sent him this article, and I was reading the comments. And the other guy, I'm not going to mention him, was like, yeah, because he's absolutely right. And you're 100% wrong. Like you can't take that. You can't take little pieces of that article out of context. We're not Democrats here. So on that note, I am going to end. I have to order all this stuff. Guys, I love you. Take it easy. This is probably going to be the content for the week. I don't think I'm going to have time to shoot a video. Like I said, I've got to get stuff packed. I've already packed up some stuff and went through a bunch of stuff. But I think today, after I order all that site amenities furniture for that contract, I'm going to pack up all the knife stuff that's up in the upper office room. No, never. That's why I don't buy fancy or straight razors. So we'll do this. I have 6 minutes. Like, I'll just make this an hour long. Straight razors. The reason you don't tape the spine of a straight razor, even if there's this beautiful gold wash on the spine of that. Whew, sorry about that. What I was saying is, you guys know I'd be back. What I was trying to say was, even if you have all this beautiful gold wash on the spine of that, if you do not maintain that angle and take that material off, you're not going. So a straight razor is meant that the spine sets the edge, and so that you lay that whole thing flat. If you're not taking material off of Let me see if I can demonstrate here. So it has a little high ridge here and then a hollow grind, kind of like this. So this part needs to stay on the stone flat because those two points are tied together. That sets your angle as you're passing. Now, if you don't take that material off the spine, what happens is that stays thick. So the tape prevents you from doing it. And what happens is, if you look at it like this, like say that's the way the straight razor is supposed to sit flat, and I'm not going to cut myself, but you're going across the stone, like say you're doing a stropping stroke on a stone. Every time that you sharpen, you're taking material off the front, but not off the spine. What happens? You're changing the angle, and eventually it might be sharp as fuck to touch it, but you're not going to get that comfortable shave because you've blunted that edge by putting that tape on and not taking them. Anytime I see somebody put electrical tape on the spine of a straight razor, I'm like, that person is not someone who ever should sharpen a straight razor. I don't care how fancy your straight razor is. You roll on the spine. That's why it's rounded. You make your pass, you roll it, and you come back. And there's two reasons that you do that. One, if you roll it, that edge does not impact at an angle and then go down. If you lift that razor off, there's a chance that you're going to hit edge first instead of spine first. So what you do is you're on the stone, you make your pass, right? I made my pass, and then I'm going to flip it on the spine. I use that spine to roll it. So that's the first reason, is because it keeps you from dinking the edge. The second reason is if you've got a good even edge and you've got a wide stone and you flip that, you should see that there is like a wave of water that gets pushed forward out from under that edge that shows you have completely leveled that edge with the stone. And when you come back, you should see the same thing back and forth. That means that you've completely apexed the edge on that straight razor. And by doing it back and forth that way, you don't dink the edge in, and then you maintain that spine has contact with the full contact, and you're marrying that angle up. You do it any other way, you're not gonna have a good time. And straight razors that come in, I can always tell when somebody did it. I was like, you had somebody else sharpen this before? He's like, yeah. I was like, put tape on it, didn't he? He was like, how can you tell? I was like, because the second I lay it on the stone, I can see that there's a gap between the apex and the stone, which means that it's been lifted up. And when you lay it perfectly flat, you see that the angle is different. And then you have to take off more material to rectify that. That's why you don't tape the spine of a straight razor, ever. I don't care how fancy it is. Enjoy it. Allow it. Straight razors are supposed to get that aged look to it where the spine's all scratched up and there's some patina on the carbon steel and things like that. There's all like that. If you don't want any of that, if you don't want the patinaing and things like that, get a stainless steel one. I don't think that stainless steel ones give you as good a shave. I don't know why. It's just my personal opinion. Carbon steel straight razors seem to give you the best shave. I don't know if it's the flex in the blade, I don't know what it is. But at any rate, guys, I am going to get off of here. The little delay in there was a phone call that came in. So, guys, I love you all. Take it easy. Enjoy your coming weekend. I'll try to get anything. I don't know, but I do know that I like a 9/8 razor. So an inch. I like a razor that is just an eighth over an inch. 7/8 is really good too. I have a couple 7/8 razors. I do not like the 5/8 razors. 5/8 razors, shorter blade, less flex. The wider the blade and the deeper the hollow, the more flex that blade has, the more spring it has, the closer it gets to your skin, the better your first pass shave is going to be every time, hands down, with a straight razor. However, the wider the blade and the thinner the hollow, the less warning you get when it cuts you. It's just the way it works. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I love you all. Take it easy. Have a good coming weekend. Have a good week. Have a good whatever. Happy Hanukkah. Enjoy your week. I will talk to you all later.